I can put my headphones on.
Hey everybody, how you guys doing today?
Excellent.
Awesome. How are you doing today, Miss Theo?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm fielding some inquiries from members that I guess don't either read or don't get the Google group.
You're breaking up, Theo. We can't hear. I can't hear you.
Try it with that. Oh, I bet it's that stupid anyway. Is that better?
We can hear you.
The microphone on the camera tries to usurp the microphone. Okay.
Well, I just looked at the website and it's the message is there. That it's Zoom only.
Are there people at the Girl Scouts place?
I think Chuck went there.
Chuck went there, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I went by there on the way home today, and you definitely tell there was stuff going on around there because traffic was just messed up. But I think that the workers had probably left for the day, but there was nobody, nobody to be seen at the Girl Scout building. So
I guess the lights were out.
yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
Hard to do a presentation in the dark. I mean,
Oh no, don't we do those? Can't we do that sort of thing?
who ever heard of such a thing? You know, we have to have lights and power for everything. We'll give it a few more minutes or a minute or two to see if anybody else shows up. We are streaming to YouTube, so hopefully that'll turn out well once Theo starts, doing her little bit. I'll pop over there and make sure that everything is going good. Theo, I also see that it gives us an opportunity to stream to Facebook or YouTube. So if we wanted to stream it to Facebook, we potentially have that option as well. But I think you can only do either or. So
yeah, there is a way to do both, but it gets, that adds a layer of complexity, right?
yeah. Well, if we're interested in that, I can figure or start playing with it and start pushing buttons and see what I can or cannot break. So
As our church is now doing both, and I guess in this past year, OBS, which is the streaming platform that we use, they managed to fix it so you could do split streams. And so the biggest problem is you either need to pay for somebody else, another program to do that, where you upload once and then they split it for you, or you split it yourself, but then you have to have pretty good upstream bandwidth to do that.
Yeah.
And that generally means a wired connection, and it really wants a wired fiber connection.
Yeah.
which
I
is
don't know the quality of of the Wi-Fi at our general location. So
So let's see, how do send message to club members?
all right, we'll give it another minute or two. All right, we'll go ahead and get started up today. Theo, I just saw the email you sent out, so hopefully people will see that. I know it was kind of short notice, but they didn't give us a ton of notice as it was. So we apologize for any inconvenience. But hopefully we're being recorded and should be able to kick back and watch it on YouTube for people that may not be able to get on to this afternoon. So we'll send out the email to the link to the YouTube video once we finish up tonight. So it looks like we do have a good number of people here. Looks like 15-ish plus myself, so 16, so not bad. Especially for impromptu Zoom kind of thing. Brings back some old memories of living off of Zoom for 2 years. So just got to remember how this is all done. So first off, welcome everybody, members and guests and so on and so forth, to Bernard Seifert's Astronomical Society. This is our monthly meeting for the month of April, and I hope everybody had a great Easter. I went online and did some interesting searching and found out that there is an egg nebula, and this is actually what it looks like here. It's pretty interesting. It's got these light rings that come off of it, and so I've never heard of it, but it may be an interesting thing to try and pick out from the sky. I didn't really get time to look into it and see where it actually is, but I figured it looks kind of Easter eggy, so felt like it fit the theme. All right, so just we're gonna do some quick official business before I hand it off to Theo for her talk tonight. So we'll go ahead and get started up. Hopefully everybody got the reporter or the Eclipse magazine, our newsletter that got sent out, and it includes all the member minutes from the last board meeting as well as the last member meeting. Does anybody have any questions on the minutes as they were presented? I love it. I don't know if anybody's shaking their head, nodding their head, or because there's a whole bunch of black boxes, but it's fine. I get it. Well, if there aren't any questions, we'll go ahead and move forward. I'll throw out the member report real quick. Keith wasn't able to make it today, but he did email me. We're up to 237 members. We're going to go through and start looking at the rosters and make sure our numbers are as accurate as possible here shortly. So that could go up or down within the next month or two. But, we are still getting a steady amount of members coming in. So it's always exciting to be able to share, all of this with everybody. Theo, can we get a treasurer's report?
Yep, we do have a little bit of money. $9,650.06 in the bank. PayPal, I really need to transfer that over. It's up to $922.41. So we have a good little bit of money. Let's see, social media, Facebook, we've got about 2,000 likes. That's about as near as they tell you these days. And Twitter, we have 326 followers. I spent much of April on the road. We left and went out to Utah to pick up a camper and then camped on the way back. So I've been out of town and for a lot of that out of internet too. So you'd be amazed how many places. I know what those coverage maps look like and they lie. There are vast areas with no cell signal whatsoever, but that's okay. But
Sometimes it's good to get away.
Let's see, maybe later on I'll get a chance to throw this in, but we went to a couple of, Texas calls a bunch of their parks dark sky parks, but we went to at least one official international dark sky park and a couple of the rest that are just plainly dark. And it was really nice. When's the last time you saw the winter Milky Way? And yes, it is there. Whoa, look at that. So anyway, it was really nice to see the sky, even though we were really close to the full moon. We didn't plan that out very well. But,
Well, it sounds like you got some good viewing though.
Yep. I mean, I said it was nice and dark, and there's a lot of Texas that's kind of middle of some serious nowhere. So.
Yeah, I think I lived in one of those little towns for a while, 30 miles from anywhere, and had to drive to New Mexico to see a movie kind of place. So, yep. Been there. Well, good deal. Well, thank you for that. It's kind of moving on. We do have loaner equipment available. I've started getting some scopes returned, and so we're starting to build our list back up. So as things cycle in. So we do have, as a member perk, we do have equipment that can be borrowed. There isn't a cost, but we offer it as a service to give our members an ability to use a scope that they may or may not have had access to, or if you're thinking about buying a scope and you just want to see, hey, would I like a Daub, which is one of these here, or some other scope, you can kind of figure out whether you'd use something big and gigantic as a really good sized Daub, or if you want something a little bit more portable. And so there are plenty of telescopes out there that fit whatever interest levels you're at. And so we do have a handful of those. So if you're interested, you can send us an email at equipment@bsasnashville.com and we can kind of get you set up. There is a list available on the Google group. I should probably repost that every once in a while so it doesn't get buried in the Google group, but I'll go through and make sure it's updated before I do that. If you do have a telescope that you're borrowing from us, feel free to reach out. Let us know how you're how you're doing with it, if you have any questions with it, or if you want to return it, so on and so forth. Just feel free to reach out. Okay. All right. Places you can find us, for members, we're fairly familiar with this. If we have any guests available or guests on board, we have a website, bsasnashville.com. We have quite a few things on here. We have, notifications of our next star parties, our next meetings, and you can kind of find, what's coming up and down the chute. We have this amazing clear sky chart down here that shows when is the best time to go out and look at the sky. The darker, like here, the better, right? Because obviously we like dark skies. So Friday and into Saturday, probably not the best. So we'll talk more about the weather here in a minute, because we have to, because we seem to have that wonderful luck. But it's a really good thing to just take a peek at, if you're planning on something like the weekend coming up, or if you just want to go out that night, you can get an idea of what the potential expected cloud cover will be and what kind of viewing you'll be able to get. So also on our website, we do have the Hatch Show print still available. I believe we have somewhere around 20 of them. It's a really good print, especially if you like those Hatch Show, or if you collect the Hatch Show prints and whatnot. They did create this stencil solely for us, and so it's very unique and one of a kind. So Theo has those available. I believe $20 you can get it at our next meeting, which hopefully will be in person at the Girl Scout Club, or for $25 she'll put it in a tube and mail it to you. So if you're interested in that, you can click on this link here, and you can pay through PayPal, and we can get one of those sent to you. You can also find us on Facebook. We're at BSAS Nashville, and Theo does a lot of work for us. We're very grateful, and she posts stuff up, in terms of news events and important things in the sky, or fun things in the sky that we can look at, when and if the next comet's gonna hit us or whatever. But this was our last post a couple days ago with the potential Starship launch. Unfortunately, it didn't make it off the ground that date. Theo, do you know when the next attempt was going to be? Wasn't it supposed to be today?
Tomorrow, I think they have a window opening, so we'll have to wait and see. Of course, haven't seen anything about the weather yet or any of that good stuff. but-
8:28 a.m.
Oh, there we go.
8:28 a.m. All right, so everybody be awake. Is that Eastern or Central?
Central.
Central. Nice.
Because it's launching
Maybe I
from
should-
Texas.
What's that?
It's coming out of Texas, so
Oh. Well, hopefully it gets up there. So I'm sure there'll be a post about that on our Facebook page as well, but it's a really good place for information. And Theo does a good job of reposting things for everybody to see. Same thing with Twitter. We're at BSAS Nashville on Twitter. And here, most recent post from yesterday, talking about the need for dark skies, and it's not just our eyes that love that dark sky. The birds need it too, and animals that are reliant on that kind of environment whenever they're flying, navigating, trying to eat, things like that. The brighter things are, the harder it is for them to do anything. So we always post, Theo always posts some really good content on there in regards to things that may be of interest to us as a community. And then a big thank you to member Steve Hughes for getting the Instagram back and going. So much appreciated for that. Here you can see, keeping as up to date as possible. All humans welcome. Zoom only event, right? So we posted pictures and events from star parties. We have some member pictures you can kind of see through here. The picture of Uranus that got put up, taken, that was the web, right? Got that really good picture of Uranus on its side with those those rings. So thank you again, Steve, for posting that. And if you're interested in sharing some of your pictures or some of your photography, feel free to reach out to us, and we can, hopefully get it up and on the website. So it's pretty excited that we have this kind of going again. So we normally communicate through Google Groups, or we can communicate through Google Groups. So if you're just wanting to get a message out to the fellow members, you can, sign up for this, and any messages will just go straight to your email, and you can kind of keep up with what's going on amongst the community. We have, people that'll post pictures. We have people that are asking about volunteering, special events like the Bells Bend Outdoor Festival, communications about star parties, who's going, where is it going to rain tonight, kind of things. But it's a good tool for just general communications. And if you're a member and don't have access to it, you can email us at info@bsasnashville.com, and we can get you set up for accessing that for the future. We run our website through the Night Sky Network, and so if you are not a member, you can go to our website and click join, and it'll direct you to the Night Sky Network to create an account there, and then you'll pay your dues. And we essentially use this website for all of our rostering and our general calendar. And so as we're exploring more and more uses of the Night Sky Network for club events and things like that, we're hoping that it'll kind of create a community in its own as we start to move forward. And we started adding events to the calendars and things like that. So if you're wondering what's coming up, you can click on that. Also, we're able of putting private star parties on there as well. So if you're a member, and one of the perks is that we can get out on the Natchez Trace or some darker skies for our own observing, and so those are on those calendars as well. So that's available. One thing I really like about the Night Sky Network, and I always talk about this, is that they always have some really good articles up. And today, like literally maybe an hour and a half ago, I took this screenshot. They have their feature article is the solar eclipses are coming. And so it's pretty exciting because we've been talking about, getting some solar glasses for the upcoming events. And especially because Nashville isn't predicted totality for a while, right? So we have two eclipses coming up in terms of the solar. We have an annular eclipse October 14th, and Nashville will get 52% coverage. So that means that if you plan on observing this, make sure you have a good set of solar shades and solar glasses and whatnot. If you plan on taking images of it, make sure you have proper gear for your cameras or your telescopes and things like that. So that's October 14th, and we won't get a full there, but there is a full eclipse. That's not cool. Yeah, second. There is a full eclipse coming. Where'd that go? There's a full eclipse coming next year. We get about 92% coverage, I think it is, Theo, from Nashville. So we don't get full totality here in Nashville. So you would definitely need a set of shades if you plan on viewing it here. But if you haven't seen a total eclipse, it is definitely worth a little bit of a drive. So if you can go a little bit north or a little bit more west, I think Texas has a really good shot of it. That there's a really good, it's actually going to be a really good one because it's going to spend a little bit more time in totality than the one in 2017 did. So, so if you can travel to catch totality, it'd be really, really worth your while. Also on the Night Sky Network, they have planners. So here you can see this is for the week. Oh, Everything's just kind of going off on me. This is for the week of April 12th. So this is the week that we're in. And, it's just little articles on what's in the sky and things that, something you can do to get yourself interested or whenever you're going out there, to just be more familiar with what's up there. We also have I also found a host of outreach resources, which is really cool because a lot of times when we do these outreach events, people are like, well, what can I do? I don't have a scope. I don't know the sky. But if you just pop onto a place like this, there's a lot of material that's available for perusing and basically talking about how we can interact with the community and kind of share the love of what we do more consistently. All right. We had a few things going on since last time we had a member meeting. March 18th was a private star party. I wasn't able to go. I've been out of town quite a bit these last couple weekends. But it looks like through Google Groups that a few people went out. So hopefully that went well. March 25th, I believe was a public star party at Bell's Bend. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that was right. Yep. And it sounds like we had a really good turnout there as well. I think I saw Chuck had posted, and so I know Chuck went, and we had a really good turnout of people. So it's good to see that the community is starting to come out to these events now. And then on April 15th, they had the Nashville's Outdoor Rec Fest, and I know Theo and Chuck were there as well. So big thank you to there. And here you can see, we had some telescopes set up out there, and here you can see Theo chatting it up and basically talking to her about, I'm sure, something astronomical. So thank you again for going out there and doing that for us. Upcoming events, we'll talk a little bit about the Messier Marathon for this weekend coming up shortly. April 29th is our next public star party at the Bowie Nature Park, or Bowie Nature Park, depending on who you talk to. Set from 8:30 to 10:30. Sunset that day is at 7:30. So if you show up after 7:30, be prepared to set your scope up in the dark-ish. So keep that in mind as you're planning and trying to get out there. Bowie Park is in Fairview, Tennessee, so it's a little bit of a trek away, but it's a really beautiful park out there. Our next member meeting is May 17th, so it's every third Wednesday, and hopefully it'll be in person at the Girl Scout building. And again, they didn't have power today because they're doing some repairs on some of the utility poles. So that's why we're on Zoom today. And then the next private star party is May 20th. And that's going to be at Water Valley Overlook, which is our darkest sky that we have access to. And those are usually dark until whenever. Make sure that you do pick up a permit if you plan on going out there. The park rangers ask that everybody out there has a copy of our permit available to them, so that if they, stop and ask you, what are you doing? You can see, like, I'm looking at the sky, and just hand them the permit and everything should be fine. These are, you can stay out there the whole night, but, be prepared that other people may be out there. Also, if you show up a little bit after dark, be courteous with your lights. Use a red flashlight and keep your headlights low, or, try not to blind anybody as you're pulling up. Let's see. In regards to the Messier Marathon, that's the topic of today's talk by Theo. We have it set up for April 22nd and 23rd, with I believe the 23rd being our official date. This worked out well last year, where we had a date and then a makeup date before, just in case we ended up getting some rain. I pulled up the week, or the forecast for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, as you can see here. Doesn't look like Friday night would have been too well on the 21st, but it looks like the 22nd and 23rd, there's, at least a chance of some decent skies, but probably just since I said that, it's going to rain now. But, keep in mind, the weather as you prepare for this. I know that 60s and 40s don't look too chilly, but as you're standing there, just, wheeling a telescope around, if you do plan on going out late at night, remember it does get chilly. Bring food, bring shelter in case you do get a random rainstorm. And keep in mind that there are other things living out there as well. So be prepared for that. And I just saw Ron pop up on Zoom. Hi, Ron. How are you today?
Hey there. In terms of shelter, we got that covered. You don't have to bring any. We got a shed, got an overhang. That's covered. And what was the other thing you said? We'll have coffee too. And cookies. My wife said and cookies. She's planning on making.
I can attest that I did go to the last Messier Marathon that we were able to have at Ron's place, and it was phenomenal. So if you've ever sat outside and wheeled telescope around, it does get kind of cold and just kind of staring at it. But Ron has a nice little shelter built that is warm, and there is a on-site facility. So you can use the restroom as normal people do, I guess. So thank you again, Ron, for offering to host this. If you are interested in going, we're not going to post Ron's house address for all of the world in YouTube to see. But if you are interested, send a message to us or through Google Groups, and I'm sure we'll have a post here in the next upcoming days about that event. Okay. Ron, is there anything else you wanted to add while you're here?
If anybody can come, please come on out. We're ready for you.
Yeah.
And just for info, I'm literally 2 miles away from the Water Valley Overlook, so it's pretty much my sky is what you get at the Water Valley Overlook in terms of darkness.
Yeah, and it's got a really good view. So we'll talk more about the Messier Marathon with Theo's talk. And so it's basically a group of deep sky objects, kind of like a little challenge for you to go after and look at in the night sky. So that's happening this weekend. Sure, we'll put more information up over the next coming days up on Google Groups. So be prepared and looking for that. One other thing that we had going on this last month was the Middle Tennessee Science and Engineering Fair. Unfortunately, I had to go out of town unexpectedly for this, and so I couldn't actually go and judge. But it sounds like it was a pretty good event. I believe, Chuck, did you?
Yes, I was able to judge.
Yeah.
9 different fair exhibits, experiments. Nothing really astronomy. The closest thing was one young lady was estimating the mass of the Earth via figuring out the diameter from shadows from, let's see, she went to Bloomington, Illinois, and then here in Tennessee, looking at the shadow differences. So it was kind of neat that she redid those kind of experiments.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, thank you so much for going and helping judge. I'm sure, the kids that put these together, they're kind of bright-eyed and just kind of, it's a lot for them. And so to have, people from our group go out and interact with them, it's pretty special for them. So thank you, Chuck, for doing that. I haven't heard who got the grand prize yet. I'll talk to Dr. Murphy tomorrow just to ask him, but it's always fun to see what kids are coming up with. So one last thing before we start up, I always put in this plug for the Green Bank Star Quest because it's a fantastic event. It's June 21st through the 24th, and it's on this big, beautiful 10-mile radio dark plot of land. So they have a big old telescope there that's really, really sensitive. And so when I say that there's no cell phone use, it's pretty much because you get no cell phone signal. So it really deters people from turning on their phones. So if you're also wanting just to get away from everything to the middle of nowhere, this event may be for you. So I went last year and it was phenomenal. Notice that they have Star Party and conference. And so last year had a whole handful of really good speakers there. And so we've poached a few of them to come talk to us, like Dr. Larson from last week. And I don't know if he's going to talk this year. I haven't seen the program, but you can kind of, bet that they're going to have some good quality people there. And so it's a really good group of guests, and they do have a really big field for you to set up your equipment, and it's protected, and they do have a bunkhouse if you do plan on crashing out for a little bit. So it's a really good event. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I can get you steered in some sort of a direction. All right, and with that, Theo is here to present the Messier Marathon for us, and I just wanted to bring a shout out to Theo. The U.S. National Weather Service gave Theo a nice shout out for the Coco Roz material that she's been putting forth. And I was just going to ask Theo, you mentioned it's citizen science and things like that. Would you want to give just a real quick blurb about what this program is before you start up?
Yep. So Coco Ross started when there was a really bad flash flood in Colorado. And the thing was, the Weather Service had no idea what kind of rain was falling up in the canyons. And so there was this horrific flood. And they thought, wouldn't it be fun if we just started recruiting people and gave them all the same rain gauge, but then they can report to us so that we have some knowledge of what's going on out there? Because otherwise, just knowing what it is at your local forecast office doesn't always, give you the information you need. So they started small. This is run by the University of Colorado at Boulder. And it's just grown and grown and grown. It's in all over the United States, plus, Virgin Islands and some other places. And you can go online to Coco Ross and see the individual points where we all observe and report every morning. You can see who took county, who had the most rain yesterday. Most of us reported about 7 a.m. The saddest thing in the world was about a year ago or so, when the bad flood was in Waverly. There was a Coco Ross observer out there who said, "This will be my very last Coco Ross report, because the creek took my gauge, then it took the porch, then it took the house."
Oh.
So that was very sad, but he gave the last report of how much rain he'd had. And so and the thing is, it's used in real time by the Weather Service. So not only is it citizen science, it's extremely useful science. I think teachers ought to do this with their classes, because you can just imagine all the different ways you could do like math problems, and you could do averages, you can do, all kinds of fun things. You can do graphs. And again, it's not fake, it's not doing the same experiment that every class has ever done. It's real science done in real time. And so it's just a lot of fun. And of course, the reason I got started with this is that I have a son who was interested in meteorology. So he started it, then he left for college and said, "Here you go, Mom, have a rain gauge." And, it's just easy enough when you get up in the morning, you go check it and see what's going on. So it is a lot of fun. And of course, hail is the big excitement. If you get hail, you definitely have to report that. And our local National Weather Service office just got a person who is serving as like the Coco Ross coordinator. So they did a really nice push during March to get more members. I don't know which state. I didn't go back and look and see which state won the prize for most new members. But we have counties in Tennessee that don't have anybody. So it would be really great to have at least one observer in each county. So anyway, it's a good, fun thing. And it's, like I said, it's easy and it's incredibly useful.
How many observers are around the Nashville area?
That is a fair question. And I always have a tab open. Can I share screen?
Yeah, I'll shut mine down. And Yeah, you should be able to share.
Okay, let me go. Zoom. Where is Cocolas? Well, the easier thing to do is to go here and just type it in, right? There we go. And might take just a second. Hopefully it remembers me, or hopefully I'm already logged in somewhere here. Let's see. So they had 11,000 reports from yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And so just for fun, let's see. So let me go to here and share screen. And yes, I talk to myself all the time. Share that one. All right, lots of screen blinking will go on.
All right, we see some screen sharing.
Okay. So hopefully eventually you'll see a picture of the United States with a whole lot of dots on it. Oh, please move this window away from the shared application. Okay. I can do that. And I will kill that. All right. Hopefully you guys can see that.
Oh, wow.
And let's see if I go to maps. See if the internet can stand this here. Shut some of these down too, actually. Mhm. Boy, that might be too big a load for the, but here we go. So you can, if you go to their interactive map, see if I can not wait for the map to load. And you can zoom in pretty much infinitely close. I am TMDV 131, I think. So Tennessee Davidson. And I don't know if that there's not 131 reporting stations in Davidson County, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But there might be 20 or 25. And so, it's kind of a fun thing. You say, hey, did Brentwood get all the rain this time, or did we get all the rain up here? And
That's cool. While that's loading, I saw a question in the chat asking about Bowie Park. Is it rain or shine? Do they have a place for us? Last time I was out there, one.
Chuck has actually volunteered to do a program out there because he lives right out there.
Okay.
I did. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I did, and I contacted them, but they will not have the nature center open, so they do not want a rain or cloudy program. So
Sure.
it'll just be only observing.
Okay.
I used to have a wired connection. We switched our internet service, and it's good for some things, but this is a burden. So anyway, you might just have to take my word for it, but it's really cool. I think we did pick up some counties. I think Clay County picked up an observer this time that previously had no one. I think Pickett County finally picked up. So, some are little bitty out of the way counties, but at the same time, it's really nice to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And you can go, our weather service here does a really phenomenal job. They have these Weather 101 classes that you can sit in on that'll talk about radar and things like that. And one of the problems that radar has is there's only a few. And by the time you get some distance out from Nashville Airport, the beam is way high up. So you can't see some of the things that are going on low. So again, you got to depend on those local observers to really tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
And so it's not perfect coverage by any means. Some states like Kentucky have mesonets. They actually have regular weather stations that are set up across the state, sort of, in a grid pattern. There's lobbying for that here, but so you can see it did not rain like anywhere in Tennessee today.
That's
Sometimes
cool.
you have a hard time deciding on what's a trace,
Yeah.
but
So do you just go out and check your weather meter every morning?
yep, and everybody uses the exact same gauge. It costs about $30. It's a really clever gauge that allows you to really easily measure to the 100th of an inch. And the gauge itself will hold almost 10 inches, I think.
Oh, wow.
when it's full. It's got a narrow part in the inside that measures the first inch, and then after that it overflows into the rest of the tube, and then you have to do some dumping and filling. So let's see. There's and of course snow is a whole nother fun thing to measure. So, it looks like we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We might all in total have about 15 stations. So this is me, if you can see my little hand here. That's where I am. And so yeah, you can see that we've got pretty decent coverage here in Middle Tennessee.
Well, that's cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. And again, congratulations on the shout out. Did you send that to your kid and be like, look what I did?
They did send around a really nice, because we've had measured rainfall at this site for 10 years.
Oh, cool.
So again, that's a fun record, right? I can
Yeah.
compare that to what Nashville's had. It's just all sorts of fun things.
Well, cool. Well, good deal. Well, thank you.
So let's see, then I think I have to stop and then start again because I want to do a different screen, which is this one, I think. Do I want to do the screen or the PowerPoint? I'm waiting here for this to fill in so I can tell what I'm seeing. Not that one. Oh, what the heck, we'll do that one. All right. So hopefully we're looking at
You are good to go.
okay. All right, so sadly I won't be in town for this because I've really enjoyed doing this on a couple of occasions. But yeah, it's the Race Around the Sky, a literal marathon, except you don't actually have to leave your observing chair at the telescope. So a lot of times when we get started with things like this, we use a lot of verbiage with astronomy, and people go, what is that? And click over here and go down, there we go, whoops. And people go, what do you mean M some number? So a Messier number is there's a list of objects M1 through M101 and or 102, and they're just objects in the sky, and they're all different kinds of objects, but they're all things that are kind of fun and cool to look at with a telescope, and mostly with an average amateur telescope. So that's usually the way you see them on star charts, a little M and then a number. And that's because Messier was this guy's name. He was a French comet hunter. In his teens, he observed both a brilliant comet and an annular solar eclipse. So at 21, he got himself to Paris to see what he could do. He was a good draftsman and had neat penmanship. I want you to think about what a vanishing skill that is. And this got him a job initially drawing maps at the observatory. Map making and astronomy were joined at the hip back then, because surveying depends on knowing where on the planet you are. So eventually he learned the care and use of telescopes, and he started searching for comets. He was initially inspired to look for the recovery of Halley's Comet. He wasn't the first to see it, but he did find it not long after the first sighting. So he went on to sweep the sky for comets from Paris, okay, using a 4-inch refractor. So light pollution was not the thing in the day that it is today. Here's a list of the comets that he discovered, some with other people and somebody else got to first. But he really did a good job discovering comets. But along the way, he was getting annoyed that there were things in the sky that looked like comets at first glance, but were not comets. They were fuzzy things. So his first list had 45 objects. He expanded it to 80, and the final list published had 103. 7 other objects that were observed by either Messier or his assistant after the publication. They finally got the total up to 110. So there's sort of a list of, you know, how many he actually discovered, because some things he just put on the list. Like, you can't say you discovered the Pleiades, right? But by the time he finally wrapped it all up, bigger telescopes and bigger catalogs were coming online as well. And it's not organized in any particular way either. The numbers kind of sort of go together, but not really. So yeah, there's Herschel's telescope. That's not a 4-inch refractor. So some people had bigger stuff. There were a few errors. So that's okay. We know what they are. In the late 70s, a couple of individuals realized that they're not evenly spaced across the sky either. And so there is this time that you can look where you can theoretically see every single Messier object in that evening. It's, you know, takes a pretty special set of sky circumstances, but you can do it. So in 1985, Jerry Ratley was able to do all 110 from Arizona, which would be a good place to do that. And slight digression, you know, most of us did not start out with the latest, greatest gear. And yeah, I know there's apps, but really you want to use those while you're learning, right? After a while, the sky should become an old friend, with the familiar patterns changing with the seasons. Gear is great and wonderful, but to me, part of this hobby is just enjoying the night sky. And I think knowing the sky helps you to make the best use of any gear that you do have. Harvard Pennington, author of the year-round Messier Marathon, which, let's see, of course, I'm still in the corner for these, so that nice book that Tom had up on the screen. He lists 17 signpost stars and 17 constellations. But if you learn those, and that's not too many, right? There's more Pokemon than that. You'll know your way around the Northern Hemisphere skies. And the stars are ones that your go-to scope is going to ask for alignments anyway, so it's a good list to learn. So why is this important, and why do a marathon? Well, first of all, we like to challenge ourselves, right? I mean, we like to challenge ourselves to do all sorts of silly things. You know, I bet I can, ... So this is the astronomy equivalent of that. There's just no better way to learn the sky and your gear as well. And you know, a lot of times we are just looking with our eyes. For most of us, probably 90% or better of the times that we're actually looking at the sky is when we walk outside and look up. You know, yes, we get out our telescopes, but an awful lot of time you're just taking a walk at night or looking up. So it's nice to know the sky. Some of these things are hard to find from our urban skies. M1, the very first entry, is just about invisible in our urban sky. Easy to pick out at a dark sky site because it's next to a really bright star, but it can be difficult. From my house, it vanishes into the background anymore. This is a fun way to look at the Messier list because it involves nebulae, planetary nebulae, galaxies, globular clusters, and open clusters. And so this is the aperiodic table here. And You know, this guy did what I think a lot of us would like to do, which is he took a picture of every single messy object, and then you can have your poster. The Astronomical League, to which the club belongs, has a program, I call it observing program for this, which is basically, again, a way for you to get recognized for doing this. So if you visually observe at least 70 of the objects, and you don't have to do it all at the marathon either, but you keep a record of your observations, and there's a list of the things you should record. And then you can turn that in and get a really cool pin and certificate that says, hey, you did this thing. And a lot of people, I mean, if you do 70, of course you're going to do all 110. Why not? So it's a fun thing to do. And then after that, you're not done because there are other lists. But of course, you can go outside if it's clear tonight and knock off M42 and 45. There you go. You've started your first two. So, and those of course are also nice in binoculars. Now, what's wrong with these pictures? Yeah, that's not how they look to your eye, right? And for some, it's really bad, right? Maybe you have time on the Hubble or the Hubble plus Spitzer plus Chandra. So these things don't look like the pictures to our eyes, but that's okay. But you have to kind of get your head wrapped around what they do look like when you're hunting for them. So this is a nice sketch here from the Negev Desert, which, so it was good sky, but that's what M1 looks like. It's a fuzzy thing. But the coolness comes when you realize you're looking at a star that people actually watched explode. And there it is, still expanding cloud of star stuff today. I have seen this from the Water Valley Overlook site, but it is super easy to find, which is nice. Because it's right there. You know, you've got the bull, one horn, two horns, and it's just right down there next to one of the horns. And it's nice to have, this is a stellarium. I really enjoy, you know, you can zoom in, you can figure out what your low power eyepiece view is going to be. Then you can move that bright star out of the way so you can see the faint fuzzy. But that's pretty fun. Now, when you look up there at the designations for the Crab Nebula, of course, M1, and then it's NGC 1952, and it also belongs to the Sharpless catalog and the LBN. And there's all different designations for things, but the NGC is another piece of jargon that stands for New General Catalog. Now, new, as in when it was published, the year was 1888. So new in a very relative sense. And to start off, this would be the very first object. This is a nice Telrad Finder screen of where you might find M74. So the book, the year-round field guide has really great pictures. It's got both the finder look and the binocular look, and then a telescope low power eyepiece look, so you can see what the star fields should look like. But M74 is the super challenge object because it's really, really low in the sky. In fact, I'm not sure in April you can get this. It might be simply too low. And this is a handy guide. And if anybody wants a copy of this, I mean, you can find them online, but I'm cheerful to send this as well. This is a log sheet that's ordered by the order you're going to observe them in. So that's a really useful way to look at it. And yeah, this is the book. It's a really useful book. I actually copied a lot of the pages and put them in a 3-ring binder in plastic so that, because you know, you can't take paper out in our humid skies. So I've got it in plastic so I can have them there to flip through the charts. So yeah, there they'll show you what the sky might look like. This would have been in March. And here's a little star hop finder chart, because Aries is pretty easy to find. You know, and then you could find Eta Pisces down there, but you could also chain your way, daisy chain your way, and kind of see what the star patterns would look like. This is becoming a lost skill here, hopping from star field to star field. So there they show you where to find it, which is really fun, and what it might look like in an 8x50 finder, and a 45-minute view there. So. And so there's what the Messier Marathon looks like projected on the ecliptic, where all the things are. And you can see that it's definitely not evenly spaced either. So there's places where there's just boodles of stuff and you're going crazy trying to hop from one to one to one as the sky is turning. And then there's places that are hard because there's so much to look at. The Virgo cluster is really tough because if you have a halfway decent telescope, you're going to see more than just the Messier galaxies. There are so many galaxies there. So picking out who's the one you're supposed to claim you're looking at can get fun. And of course, the summer Milky Way area and that too. So the Astronomical League, they're really not super interested in your speed looks. They really want you to look at each object and look at it. You know, yeah, maybe I can pick out a little bit of the spiral arms of that galaxy, you know, to take a little bit of time with it. But, and there's another nice little observer form. Like I said, there's a whole bunch. I'm sure there's an app somewhere. I haven't looked one up, but I'm sure you could get one that's nice and pretty where you could just type it into your phone. This was mine, one Messier Marathon. I was real proud of this. I got up to, I don't know, 30 some objects in a night, which I thought was pretty good. And this is, I don't know if this will.
This
there
is
we go.
where your quest to get through the Messier catalog is either going to make or break you. And that's why anybody who tells me that they've gone through all 110, I'm a little skeptical, because if you get into the Virgo cluster, it's very easy. There's thousands of galaxies in the Virgo cluster, and it's very easy to misinterpret one little fuzzy patch or another. And I know what you're thinking. Those of you who got binoculars, very simple, right? I'll just get it in the wide field of view. I'll put them all in there, and I can knock them all out in one fell swoop, right? I got 16 Messiers for the price of one. I got them all, right? That's called cheating. Okay. The purpose of going through the Messier catalog is to clearly identify each individual object. And
All right. So I just thought that was hilarious, right? You know, that is cheating. You know, you can't just say, I'm putting up my binoculars. I know they're all in the field somewhere. That would definitely be cheating. So there's the sheet of the Virgo cluster and how many different galaxies there are. And yeah, it's good fun. So, and the American Association of Amateur Astronomers also has a very nice observing log so that you can make some notes, what things were like. You can even, if you're a better sketcher than I am, you know, sketch what you saw, which I think is a great idea. I'm not that good at doing this, but I think it's fun because it's going to make you really look at the eyepiece and decide what you can see. And I think sometimes you see more than you thought you maybe could see. So, and maybe you don't have a big telescope, but there is also binocular list for the Astronomical League. Observe any 50 with any size binoculars, whatever you've got. And so then they list the easy ones, which you know a lot of them. And then, like I said, once you get done with that, boy, oh boy, you can go on to more lists. The Caldwell list is a pretty good list, the Herschel 400. We should all be doing the lunar program just because I know I don't know the moon as well as I should. And then since we are not stuck, but we live in Nashville, so there is an urban observing program to challenge you to find as much as you can from the city. So there's a lot of cool challenges, and it would be really nice to see some people in the club kind of take on a few of these. Again, you get a really cool pin, you get a really cool certificate, and you get mentioned in the back of the Reflector magazine. So this is another good book by one of the originators of the marathon. And this is a soft sell here for Pickett State Park. which would be an awesome place to do a Messier Marathon from. This is what it looks like from the observing field. So obviously it was summertime when I took this, but that was a pretty nice, it's a very nice sky when it's clear, it's great. So anyway, let's see, we rarely have a perfect night, even in a perfect spot. This is actually down, you go down by where the boat dock is at Pickett, they have a little swinging bridge that you can just sort of barely see in the foreground there. This particular night, the frogs down here were deafening. So that's pretty cool. So I'd like to, hopefully you'll have a good Saturday night. Go out to Don's house, see how much you can collect. And let's see if I can get one last thing to load here. Oh, I have to get out of the slideshow, don't I? Escape. Okay. So this, get back to the Zoom meeting. This is the sky at a place where you could see both the annular and the total eclipses. So, sure. See if we can make this happen. All right, did that guy fill in?
It is there.
So that is Kickapoo Cavern State Park in Texas. And the only light, the light in the foreground there is the bounce from the light at the restroom behind me. They actually had good lighting that pointed down. It's just so bright that the bounce off the pavement was doing a great job of lighting the foreground. The glow on the horizon is Del Rio, Texas, but you can see that gentle arc right here. That is the winter Milky Way. And you just don't often see it. So that was a lot of fun. I only had a little bit of time, and then the big fat moon would come up. So, but
I bet it was a crystal clear moon, though.
yeah, it was very nice, and it's a small park. It's in the middle of nowhere, and south of Junction. But it could be a nice place to observe from. And again, when you're out for an eclipse, you're out by definition during the new moon. So it'd be nice to be somewhere with some sky to look at on the flip side.
Well, cool. Well, good deal. Thank you, Theo, for the presentation, giving people an idea of what we have going on this weekend. So if anybody has any questions about the marathon, let's see, is Ron still here? Ron is still here. So if anybody has any questions about the marathon or how things are set up, feel free to ask away.
One point I forgot to mention, I do have power for people that need power. I got a shed full of outlets, so there's plenty of power available if you need it.
Excellent. Always important as well, especially if you got some good heavy duty scoping equipment. So awesome. Well, are there any questions anybody has?
I wanted to mention one thing. This is Chuck.
Yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
Saturday, April 29th, I'll be doing Astronomy Day at the Adventure Science Center. So if anybody wants to come out, they're welcome to. If you can talk your way in, let them know that you're with BSAS. Have a table there. I'll be mostly doing space stuff, but I'll have some astronomy stuff there too.
So that's, you said that's at the Science Center?
Yeah, Saturday, April 29th.
Do you have a time for that? Like when everything kind of starts up or?
Probably do at home. I've been driving for the whole meeting. I just pulled up to my garage.
Well, if you want, if you can send a message out to Google Groups. So like if we can potentially get out there. That'd be kind of cool. So I think I did that event a couple years back, like before COVID, and it was fun to do. So
I know Steve Hughes is somewhere here, but he had asked too that he and Frank P. LeVar are hosting a star party on Friday, the 28th for 5th grade science students from John Moore School at the Model Airplane Field in Edwin Park, starting at sunset. So if anybody wants to go out and help out with that, that's also a nice opportunity. So that's the Friday before the Saturday at the Adventure Science Center.
can you send that as well in the Google Group, Theo?
Yep.
That'd be great. Yeah. That's right down the road for me, so I may be able to swing it by there. So, well, good deal. Well, thank you everybody for coming today. Hope you guys got some good input. If you have any questions or comments on anything that you've heard today, feel free to reach out to us. We're at info@bsasnashville.com. We'll go ahead and officially end the meeting now. If you have questions, feel free to stick around and ask away, or send us an email or a message. All right. Hope everybody has a fantastic couple weeks, the month until the next member meeting. Maybe we'll see you out at a star party or a messy marathon. But have a good one. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Very good program.
Glad you can make it.
Yeah, I am too. Theo, they're glad to see you. Okay. Have a
All
good
right.
night.
You too.
Okay.
Mm.